What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Gooner channel, a channel 100% dedicated to the Arsenal, who, as we all know, are by far the greatest team the world has ever seen. In this video, I'm going to be looking at how I think Southampton can beat Manchester City in a 5:30 kickoff to hand the title advantage to Arsenal as we travel to Anfield for tomorrow's game. And first of all, look, I know everybody is going to be saying there's no way that Southampton, who have scored fewer than a goal a game all season, have only won 6 games all season, and are currently languishing at the bottom, destined for relegation. This will be their third manager, the third manager that Pep Guardiola has faced in playing Southampton. Anyone in their right mind is going to say there's no way it's going to happen. And frankly, well, I kind of agree with them. I honestly don't think it is going to happen. You only have to look at the bookies. They're making an 11-1 shot for Southampton to win this, and a 5.5-1 shot that they even get a draw. So, put in simple terms, if this game was played 12 times, Southampton would only win it once, get 2 draws. So a quarter of the time, Man City drop any points whatsoever. And that would be enough. Like any points dropped would do it. I'm not really expecting Southampton to win this. But I think we're in danger as football fans of always looking at the obvious. And football never quite turns out that way. So, for example, fresh on the heels of having battered us 3-1, or at least the scoreline looks like that happened, they went away and lost to Spurs. Somehow. I have no idea how you lose at Spurs. It seems an impossibility, but they managed it. No one was expecting them to draw with Nottingham Forest away. It was a valiant performance, and they had a first team out there. Nobody was expecting them to go to St Mary's, where they've already lost this season. They lost in the Carabao Cup, 2-0. And they played a full-strength team in a competition that they have dominated over the last 5 years. So it is possible. Stranger things have happened. I can't necessarily think of any off the top of my head, but it can happen. And of course, a lot of the talk has been, Haaland is fit. Now, here's what I want to talk about in this video. It's one of the reasons why I am more confident than is statistically likely I should be that Arsenal can win the league this season. And it all kind of comes down to the squad, Man City squad, and Pep Guardiola. Pep Guardiola has made no secret of the fact that he wants to eventually manage at international level. Just a few months ago, he was forced to turn down the Brazil job, which, let's face it, if you're going to be an international manager, that's going to be the top of most people's lists after your own home country, obviously. But he's always talked about wanting to manage in South America, and he's put that to one side. And why has he put that to one side? Certainly, he's won everything domestically in this country you can win. He's proven himself to be, if not the world's best manager, then certainly in the top 3. And honestly, I can't think of 2 that would jump ahead of him currently. So what I am going to say is that I want us to take a quick look at Pep Guardiola's body language.
Hello, Pep. How's the squad looking ahead of the Southampton game in terms of fitness or players missing with injuries? How's it shaping up?
Yeah, the last part of the season, no more international break, so it depends on us how many games we're going to play. For the Premier League for sure, but the FA Cup and Champions League, we'll see what happens. And yeah, so we know exactly. So win game, we are live. No win, out.
Now, I think it's quite clear that he's manifesting the incongruousness of his mental condition with his physical surroundings in his comportment in these press conferences. So I'm going to just stop that. Basically, what I'm saying is he looks bored. He looks fed up. He's lacking some of that joie de vivre that I think typified him. I think that's part of his success, is his charisma. This squad with Erling Haaland in, of course, Erling Haaland makes your team better. But there is a caveat to that, and it's an important one. In Erling Haaland's interview with Alan Shearer asked him, if he felt like the team were passing the ball to him enough. He said he went into the dressing room after the Spurs game and said, "Please look for me behind," to Rodri. He also said, "I told Bernardo Silva to put it in behind. It didn't happen." Now, what I'm seeing here is that you have a team of stars who have performed miracles. They have exceeded anybody's expectations of even a squad assembled for £1 billion with the best manager in the world at the helm. They've done truly amazing things as champions. But I think if you take that squad of players and you take Gabby Jesus out of it, you take Zinchenko out of it, you have players like Laporte who are already talking about leaving. You have players who fall out with the manager or don't fall out with the manager but suddenly find themselves in, at Bayern in Cancelo, who I still think is arguably one of the world's best fullbacks, even though it hasn't really quite taken off for him. At Bayern, you have this feeling that Pep just wants to win the Champions League so he can go. It's that kind of thinking the job was done last season and then kind of being pipped to the post and then having to find the energy to do it all over again. City have not put those kind of runs together. Now, they might be about to do that. And when he was asked about the Bayern game, the focus is fully on the Premier League for Pep, or at least that's what he's saying. But you saw from his demeanour in that question, he gets asked a relatively simple question, kind of doesn't answer it. There's a lot of humming and sighing and eyeing and, do I have to do this again? I think he knows that if he comes away with just the Premier League this season, it's going to be a failure. Even if he comes away with a Premier League and FA Cup double, which, let's face it, they're nailed on to do, really. If they win the Premier League, I fancy them to win the FA Cup as well. But nobody's going to be cheering. City fans are not going to be over the moon. I know a little bit about this because when we did the Invincible season, afterwards, there was a real sense of, well, now what? Winning a league, not that Arsenal ever do win back-to-back leagues, but winning a league just didn't seem that exciting. It was gung-ho, all for Europe. And we got to 2006, came so close, missed it. The team broke up, and we haven't had a shot at it since. I have a feeling that all that matters to Pep Guardiola, it's not my feeling, I'm saying it like I came up with this. We all kind of know this. But I think part of the problems they're facing this season as well is in players like Kevin De Bruyne, who see Erling Haaland coming in and getting all the attention. Now, yes, Haaland scores a lot of goals, but to a certain extent, this is a team that was winning leagues without even someone up front as a registered striker. Most really good strikers will score a lot of goals in this Man City team. What I think I'm seeing from the young, enthusiastic Haaland who's determined to come in is, I don't know if you've ever been in a work environment or a school environment, but somebody's younger brother turns up and they're so bouncy, full of energy, and they're rough and tumble and they're playing and they're just irritating. I can see Rodri, I can see Kevin De Bruyne rolling their eyes at him. He wants to win, it's all about him and nobody's talking about them. And there are, of course, some precious egos in the City lineup. And I don't think Pep Guardiola has done a great job of melding that either, because the recent thing he came out and said was that Kyle Walker is just not adapted to the system he wants to play. He's a great fullback, but he's not adapted to the system he wants to play. Seems like the sort of thing you don't say publicly about a player. On the surface of it, look, yeah, Southampton, they got that amazing result coming back to draw 3-3 with Spurs, but it's Spurs. At home, they got turned over by Brentford with little more than a whimper. They got a creditable 0-0 away draw at Man United, and they beat Leicester at home, but they did also lose to Grimsby at home. They're without Che Adams up front, who's their leading goal scorer. Salisu at the back. I think any rational person will see this as a 3-0 to City, probably a hat-trick for Haaland. But stranger things have happened. There is just this feeling about City at the moment where they're getting back to some sort of enthusiasm and fun, but it's not coming through in Pep Guardiola. And ultimately, all teams reflect their manager. You only have to look at the Arsene Wenger flair teams that didn't really have a lot of fight in them but wanted to play beautiful football, or the Alex Ferguson teams that fought to the last minute. Ultimately, the leader is the person that is reflected by the team. And I think if Pep Guardiola is a little bit fed up, isn't as charismatic in the dressing room, then you're going to see Man City turn up at St Mary's kind of wishing the job was already done and maybe not getting off to the start they need against the team who are not technically relegated and could easily completely lift their season by just getting a point today and fighting tooth and nail to do it. So in summation, Manchester City might be turning up a little bit less pumped up and motivated than they need to. Southampton may surprise them, may play out of their skins in the kind of way that Nottingham Forest did and hold them to a draw. Or better still, sneak a win because of Ward-Prowse free kick. These things are all possible. Stranger things, as I said, have happened. Football is not as predictable as everyone thinks it is, or we'd all be winning, or there'd be no sports betting. Shocks happen every single week. This could be one of them. And just imagine what a tonic it would be for Arsenal to know that they don't have to necessarily win at Anfield to maintain that 8-point gap. I'm going to be hoping. Football makes us very superstitious. I'm going to have everything crossed. I hope you do too. And let's just see what happens. Either way, like I've been saying for a while now, the title will not be decided today or tomorrow, but will certainly be a step closer to it. I'm going to be cheering on Southampton. Join me. There is another video on the way talking about the game at Anfield, and I'm going to be looking at all the different ways it's possible we could win that. So please do stay tuned for that. If you haven't hit subscribe, maybe do that. The little bell notification will let you know when I've posted, so that you can drop everything and immediately watch my videos, which I would recommend because I put a lot of love into them. I just want to say a massive thank you to anyone who's subscribed so far, anyone who's clicked like, and all your comments are always welcome, even if you're talking absolute nonsense. I will respond to every single one. Anyway, I will see you soon. Lots of love. Be lucky!